The sound of armored footsteps rang through the starship's corridor, each step deliberate and echoing with tension. Commander Joran Malric wasn't just another envoy. He was a war-hardened veteran, a man who had seen too many stars burn and carried the weight of decisions that had broken lesser men. Now, representing Earth's fragile coalition, he was on a mission that no one else dared take, to face the Empress of the Varellan Dominion and negotiate peace with a species whose true intentions had never been understood. The Varellan mothership pulsed with an eerie bioluminescence, as if alive. And there, at its very core, stood Empress Nyrixa, 8 feet tall, her form wrapped in a tapestry of glimmering skin that shifted between blue steel and twilight violet. Her presence wasn't just regal, it was mythic. 2 piercing, sun-like eyes focused on Joran with such intensity he had to steel himself to meet her gaze. This was no first contact. This was confrontation with destiny. "You walk boldly, Joran Malric," Nyrixa said, her voice a deep melodic hum that vibrated through the chamber. "Few humans would dare stand before me without trembling." Joran swallowed hard, suppressing the instinct to bow or flinch. "I didn't come to impress you," he said evenly. "I came because too much blood has been spilled. Yours, ours. It needs to end." Nyrixa tilted her head slightly, her eyes narrowing, not in contempt, but curiosity. "And you believe peace can be earned with words?" she asked, stepping closer. Her scent was like ozone in crushed orchids, and her power was palpable. Before Joran could respond, one of her attendants floated forward, carrying a small metallic cube suspended in mid-air by unseen energy. The box glowed faintly, etched with strange, flickering sigils. "This is the Heart Reliquary," Nyrixa declared, "an artifact even my own kind cannot unlock. It holds within it a truth, one that could reshape the fate of both our species. If you can open it, I will know you are worthy." She paused, then added with unnerving calm, "And if you succeed, I will make you my consort." Joran blinked. "You're what?" he asked, unsure whether to laugh or panic. Her expression didn't change. "Solve the reliquary, and you shall have me and all the Dominion as your ally." The air grew thick with silence. "But fail," she whispered, "and you'll leave with nothing if you leave at all." Joran stared at the cube, now hovering before his chest, its surface pulsing gently like a living heart. This was madness. Why him? Why a mechanical puzzle instead of diplomacy? "Why me?" he asked, half suspecting she had chosen him for some hidden cruelty. "Because you've lost everything and still hope," Nyrixa replied simply. "You are fractured, but not broken. That's rarer than strength." She raised one hand gracefully. "So Joran Malric, do you accept my challenge?" He should have refused. He should have walked out. But instead, driven by some ancient instinct that he couldn't name, Joran reached out. The reliquary settled into his hands, heavy and cold. As his fingers touched its surface, the symbols began to glow brighter, and a soft hum vibrated through his bones. Nyrixa stepped back with a quiet smile. "Then let the test begin." Back aboard the human cruiser orbiting above, Captain Emeric Rowe paced the bridge like a caged animal. The scar across his cheek was a permanent reminder of the last peace mission gone wrong. "So let me get this straight." He barked at his comms officer, Lieutenant Mara Tin. "Our envoy is now participating in some kind of alien marriage trial by puzzle box?" "That's correct, sir," Mara replied, trying to maintain composure. According to the encrypted transmission, Empress Nyrixa has offered an alliance sealed by her own hand if Joran can unlock the artifact. Emeric rubbed his temples. "We sent a soldier to make peace. Now he's engaged in some cosmic dating ritual with a space goddess who thinks riddles are romantic." A tense silence followed. Then Mara added, "But sir, if he succeeds, the technological advantage we could gain would be unparalleled. We're talking energy systems, faster than light navigation, possibly even bioengineering centuries ahead of us." Emeric grunted. "Or we're handing over our future to a myth in high heels and glowing eyes." Still, despite his sarcasm, even he couldn't ignore the implications. If Joran succeeded, Earth wouldn't just survive the war, it would ascend. Back aboard the mothership, the cube in Joran's hands began to split open with a soft click. Layers unfolded like petals, revealing a radiant orb at the center. Images flashed in the air around them. Varellan memories, human history, ancient wars, shared pain. The reliquary wasn't just a key, it was a mirror. Nyrixa's eyes widened, the first true emotion on her face. "You did it." "No, Jorn said quietly, watching the memories swirl around them. We both did. She stepped forward, her voice soft now. Then let our future begin, not as conquerors or enemies, but something else. But just as Nerixa reached for his hand, the orb pulsed violently. A final vision emerged, one neither of them expected. A third race. Watching, manipulating, orchestrating the war from the shadows. Jorn's voice went cold. It wasn't just us. Or you. Someone else started this. Nerixa's smile faded. Then our war isn't over, it's only just begun. Right. Avoid total annihilation. Simple stuff, Captain Emeric Rowe muttered as he resumed pacing. But really, marriage to an alien queen? What is this, a cosmic fairy tale? From a quiet corner of the bridge, Dr. Lyra Fenn, the ship's xenocultural expert, pushed her glasses up her nose and spoke. Actually, Captain, interspecies political marriages aren't unheard of in historical records, especially among royal houses. They've often served to formalize peace accords or long-term alliances. Emeric shot her a withering look. Appreciate the trivia, Doc, but I doubt Commander Malric enlisted to become a galactic groom. Lyra shrugged innocently. I'm just saying, stranger things have happened in first contact scenarios. Before Emeric could retort, his second-in-command, Commander Riker Kale, leaned forward from his console. Look, we both know Joran's not the type to get distracted by flattery or fantasy. If anyone can turn this madness into a diplomatic win, it's him. We just need to trust him to see it through. Emeric slumped into the captain's chair with a long exhale. Fine, but if this ends up on the cover of some alien tabloid, I'm blaming all of you. Beneath the sarcasm, he knew Riker was right. Joran had a habit of surviving the impossible, and sometimes flipping the script entirely. Still, the situation gnawed at him. Negotiations were supposed to involve treaties, not romantic ultimatums and glowing mystery cubes. As the crew resumed monitoring the transmission feeds, Emeric stared out at the distant Varellan mothership, an enormous, gleaming construct that hovered like a silent god above the stars. Somewhere deep inside, Jorn Malric was gambling with more than his life. He was gambling with Earth's future. Inside the mothership's quiet sanctum, Jorn sat cross-legged on a low platform, the glowing reliquary resting in front of him. He had spent what felt like days examining its shifting designs, running his hands over the smooth alien metal, looking for triggers, symbols, anything that made sense. But the box remained maddeningly silent, its surface pulsing like a heartbeat. You smug little bastard, he muttered to the object, as though it could hear. Some interstellar prank, is that it? Behind him, Empress Nerixa sat in a throne-like structure of curved crystal and energy. Her attendants glided in and out of the chamber like whispers. None dared speak. Jorn ignored them all. His focus was locked on the box. Fatigue weighed down his limbs, and at one point, he collapsed into a shallow, haunted sleep filled with shifting constellations and alien voices. When he awoke, something had changed. The patterns on the box had realigned. What had once seemed random now moved in sequences, familiar, almost rhythmic. He reached out, brushing his finger along one line of symbols. To his shock, the pattern flared and rearranged, as if acknowledging him. His heart jumped. There was a system. There was logic. Hours passed as Jorn deciphered each new shift. Some patterns responded to voice, others to motion. He hummed, clapped, tapped rhythms. Occasionally, the box reset completely, wiping away progress. It tested not just intelligence, but patience, persistence, creativity. And still, Nerixa watched, silent and statuesque. Jorn began to realize she wasn't just watching the box, she was watching him. Then, finally, a sequence clicked. Something in the pattern reminded him of a tactical simulation from Earth, like a game of logic and position. Carefully, he moved the glowing pieces, thinking 5 steps ahead. The resistance faded. Then came the sound, a soft click, as the reliquary bloomed open like a flower. Inside rested a single shard, clear as diamond, yet glowing with a light that shifted like liquid starlight. Jorn stared at it, stunned. Around him, the chamber erupted in motion. The Varellan attendants rushed forward, speaking rapidly in musical tones, and Empress Nerixa rose from her throne. Well done, Jorn Malric, she said, her voice carrying genuine awe. No outsider has come this far. You have earned my respect and the fulfillment of my vow. Jorn stood, legs trembling, clutching the glowing shard. So this means it's real? Nerixa extended her hand with quiet reverence. It means the pact is sealed. You may claim my hand and, through it, Our alliance. Joran hesitated, staring at her offered hand. This wasn't what he had imagined when he signed on for this mission, and yet, how could he walk away from it now? He took a step forward, but the shard in his palm pulsed violently, and an image flashed in his mind. A dark, cloaked figure hidden among the stars, watching, manipulating a third presence. He froze. "Wait," he said, voice low. "We're not alone in this war." Nirixa's glowing eyes narrowed. "You saw it too." She stepped back, her composure slipping for the first time. "This war, it didn't begin with us. We've both been puppets." The shard floated upward on its own, pulsing faster now, projecting holographic maps of star systems, data streams, signatures, evidence of hidden interference. A species neither human nor Varellan, a force that had sown conflict for eons. Nirixa's expression hardened. "Our union was meant to end a war, but now it may mark the beginning of something much greater." Joran nodded, adrenaline rising. "Then we fight together." And as the shard projected a final image, a looming fleet approaching from the void, Earth and Varellan destinies shifted forever. "Victorious where others had failed," murmured Joran Malric, staring at the open reliquary. The question echoed, "Do you regret your decision?" Regret? He wasn't sure what he felt anymore. Part of him wanted to scream, to wake up and find this had all been a stress-induced hallucination. But another part, the same stubborn, scarred soldier who had weathered endless campaigns, felt something dangerously close to pride. He had done the impossible, solved the box, earned the Queen's vow, and somewhere deep inside, he knew turning back now would not only betray himself, but also shatter a rare and fragile path to peace. "No," he said finally, lifting his chin to meet Empress Nirixa's gaze. "I don't regret it, but before I agree to anything more, I need answers." Nirixa arched an elegant brow, clearly intrigued. "Answers?" Joran nodded firmly. "What is this shard? Why does it matter so much? And why me? A random soldier from Earth, why offer your hand to me over this thing?" For a long moment, the Empress was silent. Then, with slow, graceful movements, she gestured for him to rise. Joran stood, awkward and wary, still holding the glowing crystal. Nirixa approached a curved wall console and ran her slender fingers across its surface. A hologram erupted into the air, star charts, spinning galaxies, alien scripts that shimmered with motion. "That shard," she said, gesturing toward the crystal in his hand, "is part of the ecliptic core, a relic said to hold the ancient wisdom of countless civilizations, knowledge of life, death, time, and what lies between. My ancestors believed it could unlock the secrets of existence itself." Joran squinted at the swirling maps. "This little thing contains all that?" "Not alone," Nirixa corrected. "There are 7 shards in total scattered across the galaxy, each sealed within trials designed to test character. They represent pieces of a greater truth: unity, courage, memory, sacrifice. You have found only one." "So the box was just step 1, Joran muttered. "And the marriage proposal? What does that fit into?" "Forgive me if I'm struggling with the cosmic scavenger hunt / royal wedding situation." Nirixa smiled, a deep, thunderous sound hidden behind her elegance. "You misunderstand. This union is not for romance. It is for resonance. By binding our destinies, we create something far stronger than treaties, a living bond, a symbol that even our enemies must acknowledge. Human potential is vast, as is Varellan resolve. Together, we become more than the sum of our parts." Her words struck a nerve. Joran had bled for so many lies, watched peace crumble under fear. The idea that trust, even through absurd means, might forge something lasting? It was tempting. But he wasn't a fool. "And if I say no?" Nirixa's expression shifted. Her voice remained steady, but colder. "Then the shard returns to my vault, and your people remain isolated, excluded from the council, from protection, from knowledge. This isn't just about loyalty, Joran Malric. It's about legacy. Yours and mine." Joran ran a hand through his sweat-damp hair. Every part of him screamed this was insane. But insanity, it seemed, had become his new normal. He glanced at the shard again, glowing like a heartbeat in his palm. "All right," he said at last. "Let's say I agree. What happens next?" Back aboard the Earth Coalition cruiser Resolute, Captain Americ Rowe paced like a man trapped in his own thoughts. The latest update had hit the crew like a meteor. Joran had solved the box, and Nirixa had publicly declared their betrothal. Some of the crew were ecstatic. Others were quietly terrified. "I still can't believe it," Lieutenant Maratin muttered, reviewing the decrypted feed. One minute he's decoding alien glyphs, the next he's practically royalty. How does that even work? Beats the hell out of me, Emmerich growled. Maybe we'll get wedding invites on holographic parchment. Commander Riker Kale gave him a flat look. Captain, this is bigger than jokes. If this bond holds, it changes everything. Access to Varellan tech, galactic status, protection. This could elevate humanity to a seat at the cosmic table. Little weirdness? Emmerich barked, spinning toward him. Our envoy's marrying a bioluminescent space monarch. We're neck-deep in interstellar politics, and Earth's leaders are already losing sleep trying to control the narrative. Before Riker could reply, Dr. Lyra Fenn chimed in from the science console. Actually, there's precedent. Historically, alliances were often sealed through marriage. Think Eleanor of Aquitaine, Catherine of Aragon. Peace through union, not just ink on parchment. Emmerich threw his hands up. Great, so we're rewriting history with alien love stories. Can't wait for the kids' version. Despite his grumbling, Emmerich knew they'd crossed a threshold. The galaxy would never see humanity the same way again. Back on the mothership, Joran stood before Nerixa once more. The shard pulsed with energy between them. So, he asked, is this where the story ends? Nerixa's eyes glowed brighter. No, Joran Malric, this is where it begins. Suddenly, the shard in his hand shimmered and projected a beacon into space, a signal, a call. Somewhere far beyond the star charts, another shard responded. And across the void, something stirred awake. Whatever humanity had started, there was no turning back now. The alliance with the Zavarians was sealed in fate, and Kale Dorn stood squarely in its center. Aboard the celestial flagship Etherian, the atmosphere buzzed with quiet urgency as preparations for the interspecies bonding ceremony unfolded. Zavarian stewards floated effortlessly through the air, decorating the chamber with draping crystals and hovering spheres of light that hummed with energy. Kale, meanwhile, felt like a misplaced prop in someone else's dream. The ceremonial garb clung awkwardly to his frame, its flowing patterns making him look more like a fantasy court jester than a diplomat. He stood uneasily beside the obsidian throne as High Matriarch Velanara issued her final orders in fluid, musical tones to her retinue. Her eyes, pools of liquid starlight, turned to him. You appear displaced, she observed, gliding toward him with the kind of grace that made gravity feel like a suggestion. What weighs on you? Kale hesitated, the words catching on the back of his tongue. Eventually, he opted for raw honesty. It's just surreal. One moment, I'm dodging plasma fire on Arcturus 9, and the next, I'm preparing to marry an alien ruler in a crystal cathedral. Velanara studied him, her gaze unreadable. Transitions often feel like falling, but know this. Kale Dorn, I chose you not out of convenience. I chose you because I saw potential flickering through your fear, and now we rise together. Her voice, though gentle, held a steel thread of certainty that somehow steadied his pulse. As the chamber's grand doors opened and the guests turned in unified silence, Kale found himself walking toward Velanara with a weight in his chest that was more than nerves. This wasn't about him anymore. Somewhere between Earth's war zones and this galactic throne room, he'd become something symbolic, a bridge between two worlds that never asked to be connected. And yet, here he was, carrying it all. But just as the first words of the sacred oath echoed through the chamber, a deep tremor rippled through the deck. Alarms erupted, sharp, blaring pulses of red light dancing across the chamber walls. Velanara's expression shifted instantly, her eyes narrowing with ancient alertness. Something's wrong, Kale muttered, hands tightening at his sides. The matriarch turned sharply toward the crystalline relic resting atop its pedestal. The echo shard. It senses what we cannot. Someone approaches. And then, without warning, the very air split. The chamber shimmered as a dark figure emerged from nothingness, clad in armor darker than space, its edges pulsing with unfamiliar tech. In their hands, a weapon that hummed like it was alive. The figure's voice rang out, glacial and bitter. You should not have awakened the Ecliptide core. Its truths belong to none, not to mortals, not even to monarchs. Kale reacted on instinct, stepping between Velanara and the figure as chaos erupted around them. The intruder's weapon cracked the air with a bolt of energy, forcing Kale to dive aside, grabbing a nearby ceremonial lance to deflect the second blast. Sparks flew. He stumbled, nearly falling but remained upright. Who are you? Velanara demanded, her body aglow with bioluminescent fury. The figure stood still, unshaken. Another blast fired. "I am the Warden of Silence," they replied. "And the core must remain dormant. Its power cannot be contained by ambition or unity." Kale's blood boiled. "We didn't steal it. We solved the ancient cipher. We earned this." The warden's head turned slightly, voice untouched by emotion. "Ignorance does not grant innocence. The ecliptide was sealed to prevent annihilation. What you call power, others call extinction." Before Kale could speak again, the warden surged forward, weapon raised. Time slowed. He shoved Velanera aside just as a torrent of energy struck the throne's edge, exploding into shards. Screams echoed. Smoke choked the chamber. Guards fumbled, their weapons primitive against the intruder's alien arsenal. Even Velanera faltered, her glow flickering with doubt. "We can't win like this," Kale shouted, ducking behind a fractured column. His gaze darted to the echo shard, now pulsing violently, its hum louder than before. It was reacting, alive in its own way. Then Kale made a choice. He sprinted for the shard, reaching it just as another blast shattered the dice. Wrapping his fingers around the shard, he felt a flood of sensation. Not pain, not heat, but memory. Visions, voices, worlds, buried warnings. The shard was not a weapon. It was a beacon, a gate. The warden froze as if sensing the shift. "Put it down," they hissed, taking a cautious step forward. "You don't understand what you've activated." Kale's voice was low, steady. "No, I don't, but maybe understanding isn't what we need right now." Without another word, he slammed the shard into the chamber floor. A pulse of silver light erupted outward, knocking everyone back. The blast didn't kill, it revealed. Time fractured around them, revealing layered echoes of past and future. 1,000 versions of the room blinked into existence, then collapsed into one. The warden stood stunned, weapon flickering, armor peeling away to reveal not a machine, but a woman. Human. Velanera's eyes widened. "You're one of us?" "No," the warden breathed, stumbling back. "I was. Before the core changed me. Before it showed me what we become when we use it." Silence fell. The threat faded. Kale stood, the shard inert in his hand now. The guards moved in slowly, unsure. Velanera approached, placing a hand on his shoulder. "You didn't just protect me," she whispered. "You protected everyone." Kale didn't answer. His eyes were locked on the warden, who now looked more like a ghost than a threat. What had she seen? What future had turned her into a protector of silence? Whatever it was, Kale knew one thing. The ceremony may have been interrupted, but something greater had begun. "What is that thing? Can it help us?" Callan shouted over the thunder of collapsing stone. Isarith shook her head quickly. "It's only a fragment. Without the other 6 pieces, it can't fully activate." She hesitated, her expression tightening. "But maybe it can disrupt their weapon." "How?" Kalen ducked behind a shattered archway as a searing blast reduced the column beside him to ash. "You must channel your intent," she said, voice clipped with urgency. "Focus on what you're protecting. The shard responds to conviction and unity." Kalen blinked at her, bewildered. "You want me to channel intent? Are you serious?" "There's no time to debate," Izarith snapped, shoving him toward the glowing altar. "Do it or we all die here." With a deep, shaky breath, Kalen sprinted across the debris-strewn hall, weaving between fire and broken stone. He dove to the altar, snatching the crystal shard. It was warm, alive, and pulsed with his heartbeat. Closing his eyes, he thought of everything at stake. Peace, his people, the future. At first, nothing. Then, a flash like a star going supernova. Energy exploded outward, invisible waves distorting the air, a stab, shattering the attacker's weapon in mid-fire. The cloaked invader staggered, their armor fizzing with disrupted power. "What have you done?" they bellowed, panic infecting their voice. They tried to shield themselves, but it was too late. The wave engulfed them with a crackling roar, and in the blink of an eye, they were gone. As the brilliance faded, the chamber fell deathly still. Kalen stood panting, the shard trembling in his palm. His knees gave way, and he nearly collapsed. Around him, the Oravathi slowly emerged from hiding, wide-eyed and hushed. Empress Izareth approached, her eyes gleaming with emotion. "You did it," she whispered. "You awakened the shard." "I don't know how," Kalen said, still dazed. "I just thought of what we'd lose if we failed." She rested a hand on his shoulder, her touch unexpectedly warm. "That's exactly why it worked. The shard listens to purpose, not power. You were chosen, not by me, but by destiny itself." Callan let out a breathless laugh. "Well, That's one way to ruin a wedding. Laughter rippled through the crowd, even from the Empress herself. For the first time since boarding the Oravati Star Cruiser, Callan felt not like a stranger, but an ally. In the days that followed, stories spread across both worlds. The mysterious Guardian and Callan's act of courage became legend. Back aboard the human fleet, Captain Silas Dorn, once a vocal opponent, reluctantly admitted that Callan's ridiculous marriage proposal might have saved them all. The wedding resumed under stricter watch, but the mood had changed, lighter, hopeful. As Callan took his vows with Empress Ezereth, he felt something unexpected, belonging. He hadn't dreamed of this life, but it was a future he now claimed as his own. Together, they vowed to recover the remaining shards of the Celestian core. They would build bridges, not empires. Heal wounds, not reopen them. Years passed, and under the united leadership of Empress Azareth and consort Callan Mir, the bond between Earth and Oravath became the strongest alliance in the galaxy. What began as a political marriage became something far deeper, a union forged through fire, hardship, and a love that defied species and star lines. Together, they pursued the fragments of the Celestian core. Each shard tested them with riddles, with enemies, with truths neither side wanted to face. But each trial made their union stronger. The knowledge locked in the core transformed civilizations, restoring dying planets, healing broken systems, even rewriting ancient feuds in new hope. And then at last, the final shard clicked into place. The core pulsed. Time seemed to stop. But instead of power overwhelming them, the room filled with something else, harmony. The core's true gift wasn't destruction or dominion. It was understanding. And from that day on, across every star-charted system, it became known not as a weapon, but as the soul of the galaxy reborn. Back on the crystalline plains of Orion Prime, Commander Daxon Reyes and High Matriarch Elira built a home that defied the boundaries of their two worlds. Their sanctuary merged the soul of Earth's warmth with the luminous elegance of Illyrian design. Bioluminescent gardens hummed with alien life, while handcrafted wooden sculptures stood proudly beside floating crystal murals. Laughter and music drifted through the halls, where visitors from across the galaxy gathered, ambassadors, dreamers, and scholars sharing stories over fusion feasts of interstellar flavors. Yet the most unexpected gift of their union came in the form of a child. Against all odds, the genetic divide between human and Illyrian yielded life. Their daughter, Leora, was nothing short of miraculous. She shimmered faintly in the twilight, her mother's ethereal glow dancing beneath her skin, and her father's fierce curiosity burning in her eyes. Leora became a symbol of something greater than diplomacy, a living testament that love could rewrite even the strictest rules of biology. Raising Leora was no easy feat. Two cultures, two histories, two gravitational pulls shaping one soul. Daxon taught her about Earth, campfire stories under nebulae skies, the thrill of tree climbing, the value of honesty, and how to cook chili over open flame. Elira, meanwhile, guided her through Illyrian rituals, the harmony of the cosmos, the art of silent listening, the dance of thought and light. Somehow, in the push and pull, they found balance. One evening, beneath the pale twin moons of Orion, Daxon and Elira sat together on a polished stone bench, watching Leora chase starflies through the mist-kissed garden. Their daughter laughed, her joy echoing like music through the perfumed air. "I never imagined this life," Daxon said quietly, eyes soft with awe. "When I boarded your ship, I thought I was walking into an ambush, not this." Elira turned to him, her features glowing like starlight. "And I never imagined a human would steal my heart, Commander Reyes. You were chaos wrapped in courage, and yet you became my calm." He chuckled, leaning back, his arm brushing hers. "If someone had told me I'd end up married to an alien monarch and raising a kid brighter than a reactor core, I would have checked them for brainworms." Leora ran up, breathless, cradling a glass orb of glowing insects. "Look, can we keep them?" Daxon smiled, brushing her hair gently. "They're free spirits, kiddo, but we can enjoy them for a while longer." As Leora nestled between them, sharing stories about constellations she claimed she discovered herself, a warm silence wrapped around them. They sat like that for hours, father, mother, daughter, watching the sky pulse with ancient stars. Somewhere out there, the remnants of the Ecliptica core drifted, a silent monument to the day Empire stood down and chose understanding over annihilation. But here, in this garden, legacy didn't mean monuments. It meant love. It meant laughter. It meant watching your daughter chase stars and believing, somehow, that anything was possible. And so, beneath the silver gaze of twin moons, Daxon Rays, Alira of the Luminari, and their radiant child Leora looked out into the future. Not with fear, but with unshakable hope. Together, they would write a new chapter of the universe, one bright enough to outshine even the darkest void.